Welcome to the course on Tribal Society. In this session, I will provide you an overview of the several topics that will be covered during this course. This course is spread across 16 weeks, during which we will be covering 16 units. The 16 units or chapters are grouped under 4 blocks. Block 1 includes Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture. Block 2 is titled Tribal Society in Transition. Block 3 is titled Tribal Identity and Ethnicity Part 1, and Block 4 is titled as Tribal Identity and Ethnicity Part 2. Let us see the details of each unit under each block. The first block in the course Tribal Studies is titled Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture. This block consists of 4 units. Block 1 is called Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture. It includes tribal social systems. Unit 2 is titled Tribals and Religion. Unit 3 is titled Rites of Passage, and Unit 4 is titled Tribal Languages, Art and Culture. Tribal culture ranges from social systems to religious practices as well as several art forms. In this block, we will discuss about the various tribal cultures that we see prevalent in India. The first unit in the block, Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture, that is Unit 1, is on the tribal social system. Tribal social systems is one of the important areas to understand the institutions of tribal systems of the tribal people. This unit concentrates on understanding the tribes, their characteristics, and tribal social systems like a group of tribes, sub-tribe, moiety, phratry, clan, local group of village community, lineage, and family. This unit introduces the geographical divisions of tribes in India. It highlights the organization and social structure of tribal community. The tribal social system gives an idea of the people living in an organized society. They have a definite geographical area, a separate language or dialect, and distinct culture, and have at least a common feeling of determination against strangers. The social organization and structure of the tribe projects the whole picture of the tribes in India. In this unit, we will also learn about the sub-tribes and moieties. The sub-tribe is divided into a few groups depending on the economy, ecology, and transition. These divisions, the sub-tribe is divided into a few groups depending on the economy, ecology, and isolation. These divisions are due to geographical isolation. Moieties are known as half-tribes. If a tribe is socially separated into only 2 groups based on the social activities, and that each group is called moiety. The unit also highlights the concept of local group, clan, lineage, tribal families, and patterns of tribal social systems. Patterns of tribal social systems discusses about 7 types of tribes. Further, it tells about the various zonal dimensions of tribe such as north, eastern, central, western, southern, and the tribes of Andaman, Nicobar, and Lakshadweep Islands. The second unit in the block Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture, that is Unit 2, is on Tribals and Religion. Religion serves the central and crucial function in society, supporting what has been variously called social integration, social solidarity, and social cohesion. Religion is an all-pervading supernatural phenomena in the life of human being. In this unit, we discuss the meaning and definition of religion. This unit will also provide information about the early tribal religion, the different tribes of India and their form of religion. This unit will describe the religious practices of shamanism and Bongaism while discussing Hinduism. This unit also throws light on the changes brought about by Christianity among the tribes in India. Unit 3 in the block titled Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture is about rites of passage. This unit will give you an overview about the practice of pregnancy, childbirth rites among the different tribal groups of India. It also provides information in regards to the practice followed during the puberty and initiation rites. Marriage and death, which is a common phenomena the world over, has also been described in this unit, but with particular reference to the marriage and funeral rites among the tribal population. In this unit, you will come to know that rites of passage have three phases: separation, transition and reincorporation. In the first phase, people withdraw from their current status and prepare to move from one place or status to another. The second phase is the transition phase, which is a period between states during which one has left one place or state but hasn't yet entered or joined the next. Reincorporation is characterized by elaborate rituals and ceremonies. The fourth unit in the block Introduction to Tribal Society and Culture, that is Unit 4, is about the tribal languages, art and culture. Every tribal society in India is very rich in terms of their tribal language, culture as well as their art forms, which are not only vibrant but also conventional. Tribal language, culture and art generally reflect the creative energy found in the tribal areas among the tribal people. Language, art and culture cuts across all groups. This unit deals with the particular tribal language, art and culture prevalent among tribal population in India. Hence, this unit traces the origin of the tribes in India while understanding the different tribal languages. It also provides an insight to the tribal culture that has been a part of the Indian society. This unit traces the growth and development of tribal art. This unit attempts to provide information about their origin, social and cultural characteristics and their present status with the object of developing an understanding in the learner about the distinct features of the tribal language, culture and art. This unit has made an attempt to encompass the cultures and traditions of each and every tribe existing in India, although it is a tedious task since there are numerous tribes. The overwhelming fact remains that India, being the multicultural, multi-ethnic, multilingual, multi-religious country, shares a very important sense of unity in its diversity. It is believed that languages form community, communities form a society, and a society forms a nation state. Hence, the Indian tribal languages, being diverse in its kind, forms the basis of the Indian democratic, sovereign, federal and republic constitution. Amid several languages, cultures, traditions, religion and socio-political conflicts, it still remains a country of diverse qualities and the largest democracy in the world. Block 2 in the course Tribal Society is titled Tribal Society in Transition. The 4 units in this block are Unit 1, Tribal Governance and Polity, Unit 2, Tribal Economy, Unit 3, Gender and Class Stratification in Tribal Society, Unit 4, Intersection between Gender, Class and Caste in relation to tribes. It provides information about how the tribal societies in India have been in transition from the governance to the economy to the shift in the gender and class within the tribal society. It also points out the intersection between gender, class and caste in relation to tribes. Unit 1 in Block 2 is about tribal governance and polity. This unit helps us to understand the concept of governance with particular reference to the tribal group. It also attempts to explore the different forms and means of tribal governance. The unit provides an understanding of the concept of politics, while at the same time talks about the changing nature of tribal politics in India. This unit begins with a focus on the meaning of governance and discusses the different issues that are directly or indirectly affecting the tribal self-governance in India. It also highlights different forms, means and institutions of tribal governance, understanding the meaning of politics and the nature of tribal politics in India. Within this framework, it focuses on the political participation of tribal communities and the role of the tribal representatives in the Indian Parliament and state legislatures. Unit 2 in Block 2 is about the tribal economy. It describes the structural features of tribal economy in India. It also throws light on the types of occupations followed by different tribes of India and also tries to explain the dynamic forces and process of economic change in tribal India. As we know, economy is an institutional mechanism for regulating the human activities of acquisition and production of goods and services, as well as their distribution among the people. We also know the characteristics of tribal economic systems in India, such as forest-based economy, familial mode of production, simple technology, absence of profit motive, economic cooperation, gift and ceremonial exchange, periodical markets, etc. At the end of the unit, we have discussed the factors and processes of economic change and their implication for living conditions of tribal masses. Unit 3 in Block 2 is about gender and class stratification in tribal society. Though it may seem that among tribals there is no stratification and their society is egalitarian, class stratification exists among the tribals. Women's status in tribal society is low. Tribal society is patriarchal and women do not enjoy prominent position in the social and religious spheres. The unit throws light in regards to the meaning of gender and stratification and explains the nature of class stratification among the tribal population of India. Unit 4 in Block 2 is about the intersection between gender, class and caste in relation to tribes. It talks about the meaning of class, caste and gender among the tribal population of India, while at the same time draws out the relationship between class, caste and gender among the tribes. It also appraises the issues of class, caste, gender in the tribal society. The third block in the course Tribal Society is titled Tribal Identity and Ethnicity 1. This block consists of 4 units. Unit 1 is titled Concept of Difference and Inequality in Tribal Context. Unit 2 is titled Ethnic Relation, Conflict and Change. Unit 3 is titled Tribal Identity in the Modern World. Unit 4 is titled Structural Conflict in Sectors of Tribal Development. The block highlights the concept of difference and inequality among the tribes as well as the tribal identity in the modern world, among other pertinent issues. Unit 1 in Block 3 is about the concept of difference and inequality in tribal context. Tribal communities in India are in many ways culturally and socially different from others. The degree and areas in which these differences are manifested differ from tribe to tribe and from region to region. The reason is that the tribes are not one homogeneous community as was thought of earlier. Also, they are part of the dynamic social and cultural process that takes place in every society. However, these characteristics of tribes must not be seen by others as an end of differences between tribes and non-tribes. The differences are real and tangible. Non-tribes people often wonder why the tribes do not join the mainstream, especially since they are given a lot of privileges like reservations, special grants, etc. They do not often realize that what they demand is the assimilation of tribal population into the majority population. The mainstream imagination of India often is narrow. According to them, the social and cultural criteria for an Indian is very much their own culture and social characteristics. In reality, they view only themselves and people like them to be the mainstream. Therefore, they want the tribes to be like themselves. This is not acceptable to the many tribes who want to maintain their distinct culture and lifestyle. The Constitution promises equality of status and of opportunity. The government has passed a number of legislations and formulated programs to move towards equality. To have a better India, unity in diversity have to be understood in its true sense. So, Unit 1 in Block 3 attempts to describe the concept of inequality and difference among the tribal groups. It also talks about the differences that become a factor in creating inequality. It also explains the discrimination of tribes in India while touching on the principle of equality at the same time. Unit 2 in Block 3 is about the ethnic relation, conflict and change. Tribal issues and tribal conflicts are issues that are related to a wide variety of social, political and cultural issues. Looking at these factors from a narrow perspective as a purely administrative problem or a law and order issue is likely to confuse rather than clarify the dynamics of the problem. The problem is related to the issues of Indian nationhood and distributive justice. Modern India is rightly proud of the economic and technology progress it has made after independence. However, the condition of tribes has remained same. Seeing the problem of tribes as being purely an economic or administrative one is missing the point, and solutions from this point of view are not likely to succeed. The problem has cultural and social dimensions. In this unit, the concept of ethnicity has been discussed vis-a-vis the dynamics of ethnic relations in India in the tribal context. It also throws light on the theoretical perspectives in ethnic conflicts and the cause and effects of ethnic conflicts in tribal areas. Unit 3 in Block 3 is about tribal identity in the modern world. Tribal political and social identity are important issues. Often, the issue is seen as limited to one or two issues: political autonomy, displacement, and ecology. Tribal identity problems are often much larger than these issues. The situation is also dynamic. The society and the tribal population are undergoing numerous changes, consciously or unconsciously. Thus, the problem of identity is related to social and cultural change. It is different type of modernity which has to emerge in the tribal communities. In democratic societies, these problems cannot be resolved through authoritarian means, and participatory ways have to be found to resolve these issues. This unit attempts to bring forth the world view in relation to the tribal population. It talks about some important characteristics with regards to the tribal identity in the modern world. Specifically, this unit will explain what are identities and its relevance, the difference between identity formation in the modern world and traditional world, the issues important for tribal identity, and the consequences of tribal identity. Unit 4 in Block 3 is about the structural conflict in sectors of tribal development. The overview of tribal experiences with development clearly shows it has adversely affected the tribes. The loss of their culture and their resources has not been compensated with any tangible gains. The process of modernization has always produced losers and winners, communities that have quickly adapted themselves to modern institutions and values, and others who have remained backward. The communities that had locational and situational advantages could adapt sooner than others. For example, during the colonial period, some of the earlier elite quickly took advantage of colonial education and employment opportunities. In case of tribal communities, the process has not been that of only the inability to adapt. The colonial state and the post-independent state policies have contributed towards the marginalization and oppression of the tribes. The realization has occurred in government and non-government sector that welfare and development approach has failed to ameliorate their conditions. Unless the root causes of oppression are addressed, the situation will not improve. The unit gives a brief note on the concept of development with particular reference to the tribal group existing in India. It also attempts to provide information about the structural constraints for development among the tribal group. It talks about the tribal experience with mainstream development. Block 4 in the course Tribal Society is on Tribal Identity and Ethnicity Part 2. This block consists of 4 units. Unit 1 is titled Development and Progress, Economic and Social Dimension. Unit 2 is titled Alienation and Migration. Unit 3 is titled Employment Trends Among Tribals in India. And Unit 4 is on Land, Environment and Sustainable Livelihood. The block touches the issue of alienation and migration, which is prevalent among the tribal groups of different regions. It also talks about the employment trends of the tribals among other issues. Unit 1 in Block 4 is about the development and progress, economic and social dimension. Despite the various interventions from the government to address the tribal development issues through constitutional safeguards, empirical studies indicated that tribals remained in a state of exclusion, exploitation and marginalization. In the past decades, development policies and programs designed to improve the welfare of the tribals had usually been paternalistic, ignoring the strengths of the indigenous institutions and knowledge. The reasons are structural, that is, the issues taken up under development schemes have often been the results of the kind of measures pursued under national development. Hence, until the tribal problem is seen as one linked to national or regional development, the solution to the problem suffered by tribes is going to be partial and inadequate. In fact, development schemes have been acting more as a safety valve for the situations and conditions created by national and regional development, rather than as truly developmental measures. Thus, the government programs and policies should strengthen the customary laws and local self-governance according to their necessary and felt needs. Tribal participation in the policy making is strongly recommended so that it can help in deciding to what extent their ways of life and being needs to be changed so as to bring them at par with the others in the fast changing world. This unit talks about the concept of tribe and their livelihood. It discusses the development discourse of tribes in India. The unit also explains the government developmental programs and constitutional provisions of tribals in India. It also highlights the impact of development discourse on the livelihood of tribal people. Unit 2 in Block 4 is about alienation and migration. Unless the processes which result in their proletarianization are identified and corrective action taken to prevent it, chances are that new programs will continue to ignore their interests as in the past. Articulation of such processes will not only lead to appropriate solutions, but it will also help in sensitizing field officers who in the past often held a negative stereotype about tribals. From the viewpoint of policy, it is important to understand that tribal communities are vulnerable because they are poor, assetless, and illiterate compared to the general population. They are also unable to negotiate and cope with the consequences of their forced integration with the mainstream economy, society, cultural and political system. This unit will explain alienation and migration as a concept. It provides information about the laws related to land regulation and ownership of land in tribal areas. It also mentions the laws towards rights and transfer of land in the scheduled areas of the tribal communities. The unit examines the determinants and consequences of migration, along with the cases of land alienation experienced by the tribal group. Unit 3 in Block 4 is about employment trends among tribals in India. The employment pattern among tribals reveal that there is disguised employment than open employment. Although data set reveals higher work participation among tribals, the reality is that children, women and elderly are forced to work for their survival. Most of the tribal communities are still practicing their traditional occupations, which are not economically viable in the present conditions. Those with less education have been working in the organized sector at the lower level as their education is low. A vast majority have been working as migrant workers in the unorganized sectors with poor working conditions and no social security measures. This unit studies the tribal situation, explores major tribal occupations such as hunting and food gathering, shifting cultivation, settled cultivation and other means of livelihood. This unit presents an insight into the magnitude and pattern of labor force with special reference to the tribal labor force. It also talks about the major occupation among the tribal population and the sector-wise employment prevalent among the tribal group. Development programs and employment trends has also been discussed in this unit. Unit 4 in Block 4 is about land, environment and sustainable livelihood. Land and environment form the important part of tribal life in India. They are essential for the sustenance of tribal livelihood system. Most tribals make their livelihood security on a combination of forest gathering and agricultural labor. Tribals continue to face wide-ranging socio-economic disadvantage, denial of justice, etc. Apart from socio-economic deprivation, there has been a steady erosion of traditional tribal rights and their command over resources. Highlighting the role of land and forest in their livelihood pattern, the tribals are consistently protesting to enjoy their rights related to their land and forest to live with dignity. The tribals have been engaged in different types of movements revolving around the issues of livelihood. The unit explains sustainable livelihood in terms of tribal society in India. This unit explores the relationship between land and livelihood of tribals. It examines the role of environment in sustaining tribal livelihood. It tries to understand the contribution of forest towards the sustainability of tribal livelihood. This unit also explores the relationship between land, forest and tribal identity in India. In this session, I have provided you with an overview of the basic concepts that we are going to cover during the course titled Tribal Society. I hope you enjoy learning this course. Thank you.